Good morning. Hello, anybody out there? How about a little peace and quiet? We're all very talkative this morning. Okay, we're getting close. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. We thank you for coming to this meeting. A very interesting meeting. We have a lot of good information for you. I think right now we're going to salute our flag. Everybody please rise. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most of the elected officials, some of you may want to see them today or at a meeting up in the West Palm. They're not going to be here, including our commissioner. So we'll start. Go ahead. We're going to call up Major Khaleesi and Captain Eastman. Come up to the podium, please.
Good morning. Good morning. I just want to make a couple announcements. Most of you have known I was getting prepared to retire, so this will be my last Delray Alliance meeting. I really enjoyed working with you all. I mean, I told the incoming major what a great group it is and the support that we receive from the Alliance throughout the years. It's very unique, and as well, in the area of the beach from Cobra. You don't see that much nationally, never mind locally. So my time has come. And be June 1st. So thank you again, but I want to introduce you to the replacement that will be working here in the South Region. He's currently the captain in District 6, which is by Buck Pfister, oversees the area on the Cobra. It's Captain Chris Keene, who's going to be the new major next week. I'm going to go ahead and say a word in a minute. And also Captain Eastman, who is the District 4 captain, will be moving to District 6, where Captain Keene currently is. We'll be getting a new captain down here. He's not here to introduce. He'll be here in about a week or two. His name is Captain Rob Sant. As soon as he gets here, we'll get him to the meeting, maybe even June 1st at breakfast to introduce him. But in the meantime, I want to say goodbye, Captain Eastman, and hello, Major Keene. Thank you, Major. Good morning, everybody. First and foremost, I just want to thank Major Khaleesi. He's been here in District 4 for a long time, and most recently as a major, we've worked together. I've learned a lot from him. I've learned a lot about the Western Delray community through him, so thank you for your leadership and your mentorship. And I feel like I'm able to step in because I've heard so much about what's going on in here in this community. I've been at the Sheriff's Office going on 24 years, and I started right in this community, so it's great to come back full circle. Recently, I've been in the Western Boynton Beach area, which obviously is a partner community to the Delray Alliance. So I see a lot of people that I've met during my time in West Boynton here today. So I look forward to meeting everybody. We'll have plenty of time to talk and delve into some issues. The next meeting that we have will bring our new captain for District 4, which will be Rob Sant. You guys will get to know him very well. We'll be here for a while, so we're looking forward to a lot of consistency and a lot of partnership with the community. So thank you very much. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you in the upcoming months. Thank you.
Captain Eastman.
Mornings. So as the Major just said, I was a victim of the shuffling around. I want to first start off by saying, obviously we've gone through some of the stuff with the moldy building and everything like that since I've been here in this short time. And I want to thank everybody for all the support that I've received from the Delray Alliance, especially from the board. It's been very helpful in getting things accomplished and moving forward. With that said, I know last time I was here I told you hopefully to be in the building. We're not in the building yet, however, ran air tests yesterday and the day before, and the county's been hard at work, and it looks like hopefully by Wednesday of this week, Wednesday of next week, we'll be back in the building, and you can come back by and just come see us. So with that said, I'm going to move on to some of the stats and crime trends. We've kind of held steady in terms of vehicle burglaries. There's been no rhyme or reason. They've been all over the place. So some of the vehicles have been locked, some of them have been unlocked. They've smashed the window on some of them. So typically while I'm up here telling you lock the door, that's not necessarily the case here. So the only thing I can do with that is we're working on it, but I can encourage you to make sure you don't leave any valuables in the vehicle so that they don't get taken. We've had a couple residential burglaries. Again, really nothing to them in terms of the same place or same area or anything else. They've been random. But one thing that does concern me, and I want to tell you, is almost like the vehicles, they checked a couple. One of them was at an apartment complex, and the person went to 3 different doors, just simply turning the doorknob until he found one that was open, went in and stole a bunch of jewelry. Now, with that said, this person that's doing this doesn't know whether there's somebody in that house or not. So I'm going to encourage you, make sure you're locking your doors whether you're at home or you're not home. And there was a second case where somebody was home, the doorknob jiggled and they didn't call. And what happened is later on they found out stuff had been stolen off the side of their house. So listen, whether you think it's in your head or not, if you notice your doorknob turned, something like that, give us a call. It's our job. We'll come out there, we'll check it out for you, and who knows, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll catch the person. If not, you know, if it turns out not to be anything, that's fine. I mean, that's what we're here for. The other thing I want to cover is the stolen vehicles. We've talked about this over and over. Now, I don't know if it's word's gotten out and people have stopped putting their key fobs in the cars and bringing their keys in the house, or the arrest that I told you about that we made last month.
Yeah.
But this month we went down to 0. Not one vehicle was stolen. So I attributed a lot of that to you guys getting the word out to everybody and nobody leaving the keys in the car, and also the arrest that PBSO worked on. So with that, again, I'd just like to say thank you for all the support, and I'll be right down the road. So for those of you that email me and reach out to me, if you need anything, I'm still down. I'll be right down the street in Boynton Beach. So feel free to still send those emails and calls.
Well, sometimes I think there's something wrong with it. The captains don't live on here. They come and go. Well, I'll say a few words about Major Calisi, our former captain. I think I knew him when he was a lieutenant. I sort of raised him up, and he got so successful that he could afford to retire. But we're going to miss him. He is among the best, and we can't give him enough thanks for the service he gave to Palm Beach County and specifically to District 4. So Major Calisi, we're going to miss you much, and I wish you the best. And come and visit us sometime. And now we'll move on with the meeting. I'm going to call Chief Hughes. Applause! Thank them all. Oh, Arnie. Okay, hold on, Chief. Come on, Arnie.
Good morning, everybody. Before I announce the list of guests and political folks that are here with us this morning, I want to ask all the delegates and alternates to fill out the cards that we're going to pass out to you at this moment. Please fill them out. We need the information on everybody, so we need to update our list. Please help us out, and then we'll pick them up from you afterwards. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to read the list of all the folks that have joined us this morning. Please hold your applause. Chris Keene, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Larry Wood, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Leslie Schreiber, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Sarah Johnson, Representative Emily Schlossberg's office. Tony Keeler, Palm Beach County Firefighters. Diana Johnson, Clerk and Controller's office. Edith Minley, Palm Beach County Property Appraiser's office. Gabriel Ferraro, Civil Engineer, Palm Beach County Tax Collector's office. Rochelle Lipman, Kings Point. Steve Giffen, Palm Beach Sheriff's Office. Laura Corey, South Florida Water Management. Alcolia St. Just, candidate for judge. Joe Duffy, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. Allegra Fung, judicial candidate. Sarah Alley Oich, candidate for judge. Maxine Cheeseman, candidate for judge. Vladimir Diaz, Homeland Security. Cheryl Madian, Homeland Security. Ed Saul, Emily Schlossberg's office, Gabe Ermine, judicial candidate, Alexis Andres, Florida sugarcane league, Lloyd Commodore, county judge candidate, Mary Bell Coleman, candidate for judge, Michael McAuliffe, candidate for judge, Tara Sinclair, candidate, representative candidate Sarah Algewitz, Jenny Caesar, Congressman Lois Frankel's office, Lieutenant Lori File, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant T.E. Murphy, Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, Abby Ross, legislative aide to Senator Berman, Emily Schlossberg, state representative, Terry Marciano, Congressman Lois Frankel's office, Robert Weinroth, candidate for commission, Terry Mitzi, representative of Abruzzo's office, Mike Pratt, county appraiser's office, Megan White, Commissioner Berger's office, Freddie Scott, Commissioner Abrams' office. Let's see if we have anybody else. I think we got it. Welcome, everybody.
We're going to call on the Chief Youth. Come on, Chief. Don't tell me you'll leave it, too.
No, and we actually have another that's going to be on the way here, so. Yes, a new member. You know, I wanted to talk a little bit about a collaboration that we had this weekend with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. And it was called Operation Heat Shield, and it was held at the Herman Bryce Training Facility here in West Palm. And through our collaboration, we were able to put on and also participate in a full-scale exercise. This exercise focused on active shooter and mass casualty incidents. Each department was able to put through 100 of their on-duty personnel to practice. It was a huge success, and it allowed us to practice our response, our policies and procedures, and to make sure that our knowledge, skill, and abilities were up to par, and we're able to respond to our community needs. God forbid this ever happens in our area. So I just want to say that that's one of the first of many exercises that we have planned in our community. And we look forward to continually improving our response and our abilities with Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. I'd like to introduce Elise Brown. She's with our Community Public Education Department, and she's going to go over some community education that we've been doing in the community.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to stand over here so you can actually see me. Thank you for having us here. Our public education section offers over 30 different types of presentations to the community, both in fire-related and injury prevention. And one of the biggest pushes that we've been doing out in the communities, and there's been a big request for them, is in reference to hands-only CPR, and where we can come out and do hands-only training with the mannequins, practical skills. We also will teach you how to use the AEDs, the automatic or automated external defibrillators that you have in your communities. So if need be, you all would be able to respond in the event that there is a sudden cardiac arrest in your community, but not only that, in your home. Because according to the American Heart Association, approximately 70% of cardiac arrests that happen out of the hospital are in the home, meaning that's going to happen most likely to a friend or a loved one. Less than half of those individuals receive the immediate care and response that they need out of the hospital setting. What we can provide for you is to teach you how to do compressions when a teenager or an adult suddenly collapses, which can literally double and even triple the chances of a person's survival. That immediate response. It's easy, it only takes your hands, no breaths are needed. We can teach it to you where you can feel comfortable and capable if something should happen in the home or maybe in your community, such as like the clubhouse or the banquet hall. We can come out and teach you how to respond, how to work with your other fellow community members as a team, keeping that person's oxygenated blood circulating to all their vital organs and their brain, so when they get to the hospital and receive the care that they need, they are walking out of the hospital with little to no neurological permanent damage. It's happened. We've seen it. Our statistics in bystander CPR have increased immensely, and we encourage you to call on us so we can come out and do an intimate training with your community members. We'll bring all the materials needed. Any other requests that you have, we would love to accommodate. We can teach you how to do conventional CPR. It's not for certification, but we can teach you the differences. But honestly, the hands only, the statistics have shown it. Seattle leads rates in bystander CPR in this country to the point where if you fall asleep on a park bench, somebody's going to be pumping on your chest. Okay? And that's where we would like to get you all here in Palm Beach County. Again, we offer many presentations. Another one is carbon monoxide poisoning awareness. We have hurricane season coming up. A lot of communities have permanent and also portable generators. We had a lot of calls. We can come out and do a presentation in regards to carbon monoxide poisoning and also how it relates to the keyless ignition in the AutoStart vehicles as well. Again, we're here for you. Please call on us. We would love to accommodate. Thank you.
Well, how do we get in touch with you?
Thank you very much.
We'll send all the information. How do we get in touch
Okay,
with you?
we're going to gather, Lori's going to gather the information. She's going to send it out to everybody. So you'll receive it in your community. And they mean to help. All you have to do is let them.
And there's flyers
Also-
out in the lobby.
Yeah, there are flyers out in the lobby on this, plenty of flyers and cards, right? You can get them on the way out, but we'll put in the next newsletter and on the email.
We have supplied Representative Emily Schlossberg. Emily? Hello, Emily. Emily is our district representative, and she's back from Tallahassee. She spends a lot of time up there, and I'm sure she wanted to say a few words. Not too many words.
Good morning, Alliance. I'm Representative Emily Schlossberg. We're in the heart of District 91. I'll start off by giving two updates. June 5th, my office and the office of Senator Lori Berman were holding an emergency response roundtable for hurricane season, and it will be here at the Civic Center June 5th, starting at 2 p.m. And we'll have an event invitation made up, and we'll send it to Lori, so she'll send it around to Alliance. Another announcement that I have is on May 17th, Senator Lori Berman, our new senator for most of Alliance of Delray, is having an open house. And it will be at 2 p.m. or 5:30 p.m. at the Children's Services Council building in Boynton Beach. So we'll also send a flyer to Lori Vinegar, who will send the open house around. I'll give you a brief update about Tallahassee. In Tallahassee, I filed the texting while driving bill, and so I'm a freshman female Democrat. I don't expect much, but let me tell you something. This session, I got the texting bill passed through 3 committees and passed off the floor of the House of Representatives. It's a huge deal. However, in the Senate, they were dealing with a lot of different issues, such as they had a lot of things going on, and while it passed through 3 committees in the Florida Senate, it didn't pass off the floor of the Senate. So I'm going back next session, and I'm going full force, and I hope to get it passed next session. Okay, and I will turn it back over to Bob. I love my job. My office is on the corner of Hagen Ranch and Atlantic. We're open 9 to 5. Where's Ed Soul? Ed's my district secretary over there, and Sarah over there back there, my legislative assistant. We're a good team. I love what I do. I love working for you. Come by whenever you need any help. We're here for you.
Thank you, Emily. Tony Keelan, Nick. I'm calling Tony. Several people in the audience have asked if he was going to be here today. So here he is, and he's going to say a few words, and then you'll know to find him.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to speak today. Chief Hugh doing a fire rescue report. But really quick, she had mentioned, the only thing I want to talk about is hurricane season is coming up again every year. I know it seems like time passes faster between the end of the last season and the beginning of this season. So if you can just get out in your communities and just implore upon your residents to make sure that they gather the supplies they're going to need ahead of the storm, make their preparations of what's going to happen if we do get a storm ahead of the storm. Hopefully half of them will listen to you. You know, everyone's stubborn, no one likes to think about it, but the more prepared we are on your end and helping you get prepared, the easier it is for us to do our job in fire rescue in conjunction with PBSO and making sure that everybody's safe before, during, and after the storm. So that's kind of it. Next month I'll have some more stuff to talk about for that, for the storm prep. Busy meeting today, so thank you.
Thank you, Tony. I have a gentleman here who his name is Steve West. Steve is a gentleman who civic work is what he lives for. He's been a great help to a lot of the fact of the matter is he in his time here he started four non-profits and he has something he's going to take a minute to tell us what it's all about. Come on, Steve.
I hope traveling isn't part of my minute. Thank you, Bob. Thank you all for being here and listening to me for my 2 minutes. You're going to have to listen fast because I got a very short time. And thank you for squeezing me in, Bob. We've created a student speakers network, and I'm setting up speaking engagements for activist students from Parkland and other area schools to visit the gated communities and other venues around here. For instance, tonight, we'll be right back here with the South County Democratic Party meeting at 7:30 to 9. So you can audition these students yourself. But I'm here to ask you, anybody who's in a gated community who would like to hear and have personal experience of what these young people sound like, their stories, their optimism, and where they're going and what they're doing, if you please get in touch with me. I'm going to just give you my email address, and if you aren't able to write that down, I'm sure you can get a hold of Bob, and he knows how to find me. My address is, it's a new one, so let me just read it to you. It's steve.therationalmajority@gmail.com. Steve, then a dot, therationalmajority.com. And we'll be glad to come to your community, set up an hour-and-a-half program for you. Students will interact with you. You can ask them any question that you want. And these people, as you already know from television, are phenomenal. So that's it. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you for your good work, Steve. Be careful. Okay. I hope you all enjoyed the coffee and the bagels and everything. And so I'm going to call on I'm going to call on the GRS manager, who's our sponsor this morning. While he's walking up here, let me remind you, this is the last meeting for this season here. The next meeting will be our breakfast on June 1st. Those of you who are delegates or alternates, please keep your days free. You all will be receiving invitations in the mail, and the meeting will be held at
Undisclosed location, it comes by invitation.
Undisclosed, the location will be in your invitation because we squeezed for room and we wanted to see that all our delegates and alternates get to attend. We have a great amount of information, some good speakers there, and it's a good time for all. And then the meeting after that will be the first meeting, the first Wednesday in September. So now I'm going to call on Kevin Quinn.
Thank you. I'll be quick. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kevin Quinn. I'm with GRS Management Associates. Thank you for having us and letting us sponsor the breakfast this morning. I'll be very brief, as management's not a very exciting topic. So we've been in business approximately 30 years, and we partner with 190 communities here in the Palm Beach County area. We are a locally owned company. service strictly here, South Florida. We do quite a few communities here in Delray and in West Delray. We do as little as just accounting services, if you would like, for your association, all the way up to full-time on-site management with full maintenance services. So I got to meet a lot of great people this morning, and if anyone has any questions or is in need of management services, I'll be here afterwards to answer any questions. And thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, Lupe. And now I'll call on Dr. Lori Whitaker, who's going to introduce the rest of the program. Lori, a very interesting program.
Okay. The breakfast for the invitation for the breakfast is going out this week. For sure, you will receive it. And on email, we send out the newsletter every month. If you're not on our email list, please get in touch with me and we'll put you on it. We had information this month on emergency operations and water shortages before and after hurricanes, special needs shelters, know your zones. It's all important material in here. So it also goes out on email, and also we send out other flyers on email. For example, May 7th, Monday, May 7th, there's going to be a town hall for our lives. Senator Maria Sachs, she was a senator a few years ago, and we still call her senator. She is going to be leading the panel between 6:30 and 8 o'clock at Olympic Heights High School. That went out on email. So a lot goes out on email besides the important information that you don't really many times read in the newspaper. Commissioner Berger just asked me to say that she really misses us all today. She is in West Palm Beach. They have a Board of County Commissioners meeting today all about planning, and a lot of it has to do with our area. So she's up there doing her job for us, looking out for us. And we thank Congresswoman Lois Frankel for bringing us this program today. Alvaro Flores, he's a special agent for the United States Homeland Security Investigations. And he can come right up to the lectern here. This is a cybersecurity workshop he's presenting. And today we are more connected than ever before in the world. And there's advantages to the internet, but there's many risks for all of us. And we are going to hear about those risks and how to avoid them from Alvaro Flores, Special Agent, United States Homeland Security Investigations.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So, in general, I'm going to just give an overview of what Homeland Security Investigations is. Sorry. I'm going to give an overview of what Homeland Security Investigations is. So we're obviously under the Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security Investigations was formed after 9/11 in major part as a merger between Immigration and Naturalization Service and United States Customs Service. This is Agent Medina. She works in my group. We both work at cyber crimes. As part of what we do, we investigate crimes against children, child exploitation. We also investigate criminal activity dealing with citizens and legal permanent residents who travel to other countries to abuse children as well.
You have to hold the mic up and close, otherwise we can't hear you.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So, as I mentioned, as part of what we do, we also investigate crimes against children, including legal permanent residents and United States citizens that travel to other foreign countries to abuse children. Also part of what our efforts are at HSI is we have this outreach program, which is a portion of where we reach out to the community and we try to educate citizens about the dangers of the internet, but also about the dangers of online pedophiles. We do presentations to schools, to parents, to educators, to communities such as this. We try to push out the message as much as possible to kind of make everyone partners in what we do. So that's just a quick background of what everything that HSI investigates, all the different programmatic areas that we have. I just kind of like to start there, just give everyone an idea of the true breadth of what HSI does. So I was just asking Agent Medina, because every time we do one of these presentations, I always kind of like to give a little bit of quick background. I know we don't have a lot of time about how long we've been on and kind of the things that we've done. And every single time I do this, I always throw out some number and I'm always wrong, because every single year, time just keeps passing. So apparently now we've been agents with the agency 17 years. She and I started at the same time. So at some point, I think I was stuck on 12 or 11, and she kept telling me, it's not 11, it's 16, it's 15. So now 17 years this year, we've been doing this. And I've got to say that out of all the different programmatic areas that we've investigated, and between us, we've investigated narcotics, narcotics smuggling. We've worked at the airport, hand in hand with the Customs and Border Protection. Those are the uniformed officers that you see out there. We've also done, between us, financial investigations and several other long-term investigations in that manner. But I believe that as part of the cyber program, investigating what we do, this is probably the best work that we've done. And as I mentioned, as part of what we do, our outreach program, iGuardian, which I'm just going to talk about briefly, is our outreach effort that you can look into. It's also helpful to pass on this information to other people in your community. How many people here have grandchildren? Okay, so I mean, this type of program is very important. So the Project iGuardian is an outreach effort that HSI has in conjunction with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which is one of their offices is actually here in Palm Beach County. So as part of the program, we partner with them and this program called NetSmarts, which I'll give you the information at the end that you can look up online. And they have age-specific presentations to younger children, so elementary-age children, middle school-age children, high school-age children, and also to parents and educators to kind of educate them about the dangers of online predators and cyber safety and stuff like that. These are all things that obviously help our mission, because we try to catch these issues early, and when we don't have to face them when we're now doing the arrest warrants and search warrants to try to arrest these people who are actually abusing children. So again, just real quick, since the inception of Operation Predator, which has been this true initiative to go after these pedophiles, there's been 8,000 plus arrests. Obviously, this number just keeps changing since we, as an agency, we've been going after these pedophiles into that program. So anyone here who now has a smartphone and kind of wants to keep track of what we're doing and kind of find an easy way to report suspicious activity, we have an actual app. I mean, everyone has an app. There's an app for that, is the saying, right? So Operation Predator is a smartphone app. You can get it on the App Store, the Apple App Store, or the Google Store. So just a quick background, because I know we're here to talk about cybersecurity and to tell you how important digital information really is. This is one of the first computers ever constructed. The stats behind this is that this weighs as much as an average middle school class. Well, actual middle school, the entire middle school students. This is how much this thing weighed. It took an entire staff of people to run this computer. So, does everybody remember this? So, okay, so we got the floppy drive, then we went to the 3.5-inch disk. So when I started, it seems hard to believe, but all our reports and things like that were contained on the 3.5-inch floppy. So anytime we'd write a report, we'd save it on there, we'd work off that. Well, believe it or not, today, the 3.5-inch floppy disk won't contain the average song you download off iTunes. So any song, one song will not fit on the 3.5-inch floppy. Okay? This is something you download in seconds. So now this is the reality we face right now. So this is a thumb drive. So even just a few years ago, you'd see this, and this would be maybe a wireless transmitter for one of those wireless mice or a keyboard or something like that. Well, more and more, this is a thumb drive, and the size of the actual data you keep on there keeps growing. So one thing that we talk about, just because when we get into the actual details of what a gigabyte is, everybody starts glossing over. They don't, they just don't want to hear it. They've heard gigabyte, they've heard terabyte, but what does that really mean? So when we talk about gigabytes, and we talk about actual Word paper files, it's 64,762, or is it 782? 782 pages of text in 1 gigabyte. Okay, so that's true size of a gigabyte. So how many photos can you store? So the average camera is no longer 2 gigabytes in megapixels. 10 megabytes, or 12 megapixels for the average camera. I think it's even higher than that now. So when you think about a 64 gigabyte micro SD card that you put in your average camera when you're taking pictures. So that's about 16,000 pictures you can take with a 12 megapixel camera. And then when we talk about actual technology, right? So when you think about one of the amazing things that we've done as a country, as humanity in general, we sent people to the moon, right? We've actually landed an astronaut on the moon. But when you think of the technology that actually took us to send someone up there, that was, the computer back then, the Apollo guidance computer, was as powerful as 2 Nintendo Entertainment Systems. So this is not like the new Switch or those new gaming machines that the kids have nowadays. These were the old Nintendo Entertainment Systems where you had to blow the cartridge and put it in there. And when we talk about one of the very first supercomputers, okay, it was as powerful as one iPhone. Okay, and that fact alone seems amazing, but when I tell you that it was an iPhone 4, that's even more amazing, because right now we're by iPhone 8, and usually with Apple, it doesn't just go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they go 4, 4S, 5, 5S, 6, 6S. So when you think about an iPhone 4, I mean, that is now 8 years, I think it is, old. And this is where we're at right now. So remember when we talked about a gigabyte, right? Thousands and thousands of pages and thousands of pictures that can be stored in 1 gigabyte. Your average iPhone 8, you can either get it in a 64 gig or a 256 gigabyte. And then we're talking about millions of apps. So not only do you have a device in your pocket that essentially, like I talked about, is a supercomputer, more powerful than the computer that sent astronauts to the moon, but you also have a device that not only is a phone, a camera, a video camera, a computer, but can continuously be updated with all these different millions of apps. And then when we talk about the actual App Store, so this is from Apple. If you look back in April of 2009, which doesn't seem that far away, and on the left here you can see how many apps were in the actual App Store. There weren't that many, I mean there were several, but when you look all the way now into 2017, and this is obviously not 18 yet, we're talking about just millions and millions and millions of apps within the App Store. And every single one can enhance the function of that device. The Google Store, same story. And then not only that, but it's not just a device or your computers or the internet, it's just how everything is interconnected. Every day we see in the news how issues come about with Facebook or Twitter or cloud-based media. And this is because your device is now connected with everything else, and everything is just interconnected throughout the world. So, using the internet. So we're just going to talk about briefly how we can kind of work together and what information I can push out to help you protect yourself against potential cybersecurity threats. And not only that, but you can also try to push this information down. As many of you mentioned, you have grandchildren. This is extremely important for them because everyone else who's come up in the last 20 or 30 years and seen this drastic change in technology, every single time they come out with something new, it's been amazing. But to kids who were born during this time, it just seems like an everyday occurrence. One of the stories that I like to push out is that I remember when my daughter was less than a year old, we had this iPad in front of her. Not that we had used an iPad all the time with her, but she knew what that was. And at some point we were reading a book to her, and it was like this large format book, and she looks at the pictures on the pages, and then she just kind of puts her finger on it and tries to swipe to the right, like if it were a digital device, but it was just a regular book, And to me that's a funny story because they don't think anything weird about that because this is the life they have and this is the world they live in. So this is why information like this and trying to get information like this and trying to educate yourselves is so important, not only for yourselves, but for your entire family. So identity theft, everybody's heard about this. But what generally happens when we talk about identity theft? You know, just like everything else, they try to go after the low-hanging fruit. So if they get one password from one compromised site and you're using the same password everywhere else, then they've gained access to all your different accounts. Now this could be either your bank account or it could be even something more sensitive. Even if you have, let's say, a Facebook or one of the social media applications and you have all the privacy settings set up, if they've found a way to get your password and you use the same email and the same password for everything else, now they have access to all that media. Okay? So don't use the same password twice. Choose a strong password. And I'm not saying that you have to write it down. When we talk about the App Store, remember that slide I showed you with the millions of apps? There's apps out there that actually are password keepers. So you can use one password to get into that password keeper app and then have the most complicated passwords you can ever think of. And not one site or one application has to have the same password. Okay, so there's ways out there that you can try to help protect yourself against someone stealing that information. Same thing as, the pins. Try not to use the same pins. And also when we talk about security for yourselves and for your family, don't reveal a lot of personally identifiable information, okay? Because what we see a lot of is that everyone tries so hard to try to protect themselves and protect their information from disclosure, right? And as criminals, stuff that we talk about to the parents and children all the time is that these guys are professionals. So where, let's say, the children are trying to study to maybe someday be a doctor or an attorney or maybe something, an engineer. They're trying their hardest, or maybe like a sports star. Every day they're working towards that goal. And these criminals are the same way. So this is their job, this is their profession, and they actually try to be very good about it. So don't make it easier for them. And what I mean by that is that if you're posting things on social media, if you're putting things out there that are personally identifiable information, your location, your home address, the people that you're with, the locations you frequent, you're giving out all that information for free, and there's no reason to do that. Just be conscious of that. Opening attachments, don't open attachments on anything that looks suspicious. When we talk about online charities or donations, sometimes they'll send things to emails that sound like maybe it's legitimate, and especially maybe towards the end of the year where everybody feels more charitable and wants to try to give back towards a certain cause. If it's something that you haven't ever heard about, if it's a phone number that you're not familiar with, it's okay to just stop for a second and try to get more information about what's been going on or what that email really is. Check your bank and credit card statements for unusual charges. Fraud and phishing. So again, it's just the intentional perversion of truth in order to use another part with something of value or to surrender a legal right. And phishing is a scam by which an email user is duped into revealing personal or confidential information that the scammer can use to elicit or use fraudulently. So again, this is just the same thing that we've been talking about. Just don't give out free information. There's all these different tactics, whether it's an email, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text message. If it doesn't seem right to you, it's okay to stop and not give any information forward. A lot of times, especially now, I know I've been getting tons of them, and you'll get these scam phone calls to your phone, and sometimes they'll say, hey, Mrs. or Mr., I'm calling from your bank, and there's been an issue with a possible fraud that we've detected in your bank. For your safety, could you please give me your PIN code? Or for your safety, could you please give me your account number so we can verify? And it seems funny, but this actually does happen. So it's all a game of numbers. So out of maybe thousands of calls, if they only get a few, that's still a win for that day. So just be conscious that these things actually are happening, and they're happening more and more frequently. And again, just ways to be smart on your smartphone. Some of these slides and some of this information are taken as part of iGuardian initiative and part of cybersecurity in general, because this is something that you can not only apply to your family but also to yourselves. So when we talk about the smartphone, try to be a resource, not only to your families but to your community. That's part of you being here. You're learning some more information about how to protect yourselves, and potentially some resources that you can tap into to kind of increase your education. Set up password protection. And I mentioned the applications that you can download off the app stores. Some of them are free. I would encourage you to get some of the more robust ones that you just pay a small amount for. Usually for less than the price of a Starbucks coffee. I mean, Starbucks coffee is not like $5 or $6 for a cup of coffee. For less than that, you can get an application that can secure your passwords, and you can have a really unique and strong password for every different application. Update the operating system. A lot of the times, some of the issues that these hackers and people that try to get information also is that they try to find ways to get into operating systems, into phones that haven't been updated. So if you get that alert on your phone or that alert on your computer that says, update me, I know sometimes it's a pain because it can take some time to get an update, but it is important that you get all your security updates, because if you don't, you just become another electronic device that someone can actually scam and take information from. So approve apps, again, when we're talking about our own families and when we talk about grandchildren specifically, anytime you're with the grandchildren, it's okay to see what they're doing, right? It's okay to see what kind of applications they're using and what they're actually playing on that digital device with. Approve some of those apps, see what's going on, see what they're doing. If you need to educate yourself about what an application does, you can. There's a lot of resources available for that. You can go to the App Store to find out what the app actually does. You can go on Google and Google it and try to see if you can get information that way. And understand location services. This is something huge. I had actually just told a friend of mine over the weekend, he's got 2 kids, and he had sent me a video, because we went to a kid's birthday party, and when I looked at the video, my phone told me that it was located in a certain area, so it actually told me exactly where that video was taken, the actual location of where the picture was, the video was taken. So a lot of times, you won't know that your phone or your device is actually recording GPS and location information. So if you're pushing that out to social media, if you're emailing it to people, if you're texting it to someone, or even if you just lose your phone, and someone just happens to pick it up and is able to get into that into your phone. And again, don't use 1234 for your password, right? Everyone thinks this is funny, but actually there's stats out there that that's the most commonly used password for digital devices, 1234. Okay, use something secure. You don't want your information stolen. 56% of Americans own a smartphone. Right, the numbers are probably even higher than that now. And more than half of mobile application users have uninstalled or decided not to install an app due to concerns about their personal information. See what that app actually does. And just some quick, simple tips. Strong passwords, keep your software up to date, disable remote connectivity, be careful of what you post and when, very important. There's no reason to give free information out to these people. Guard your mobile device, know what apps you're using, and know what resources you have available to gain more information. So these are some of the resources that are available out there. There's more than this, but onguardonline.gov, staySafeOnline.org. There's ways noted here on how you can report if you think you're a victim of online crime. Obviously, your banks and your all these businesses that you interact with also have functions like this. So as soon as you see something that looks suspicious, report it. Go ahead. We talked about all this. Tech options. There's filtering and monitoring software. A lot of people have wireless connections. Make sure that your wireless connections are locked down. So don't use a default admin password for your wireless connection. Just because it says secure on the box, it doesn't mean that it's secure. A lot of people still use the admin password, the default password. Try to educate yourselves. If you don't know, you can call the company. You can Google it, as I mentioned. Read the instruction manual. And then when we're talking about actual crimes against children, and other ways to report that, as I mentioned, we're partners with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, the organization that John Walsh started, cybertipline.com, or 1-800-THE-LOST, is ways that you can report suspicious activity. And again, when we talk about call to action, you're all here right now, but you're getting all these resources, all this information, And when we do a lot of these outreach programs, we always ask that now you become partners in what we're trying to push out as well. Because if you get out to 3 other individuals, 3 family members, 3 friends, and then those 3 friends get out to 3 of their friends, you're continually pushing this message. And in the end, it actually does help out in the grand scheme of what we're trying to do. And again, the iGuardians program and the HSI tip line. As I mentioned, we have the app, we have that phone number, we also have you can find the HSI tip line at www.ice.gov/tipline. So again, just resources that are available to you, and there's plenty more out there that you can find easily with a Google search or Bing search.
Wow, that was terrific. Thank you very much. We have another excellent presentation by our attorney, Joshua Gershon, about drones in communities, which will help. He's going to help to protect our land values. But if we do have question cards, is there anyone that has a question card? I saw you writing here. Right. We'll take, say, 2 questions, and then maybe for a while you'll just be around after for a while to take questions. We have 2 questions here. The first one, you can protect your computer, but how can you protect yourself against something like Equifax hacking or the Target issue? Remember Target?
Agent Medina says here, get notices. So, I mean, and alerts. Sign yourself up for alerts. Again, there's a lot of resources out there available right now. I know my wife actually had an issue with that. And you can get alerts either through Equifax. You can sign up for credit card freezes. So where, as a consumer, you actually have to call the credit card agency and say, unblock me. Obviously, that causes issues when you try to get a new loan or something like that. But sometimes it's better to be secure than not.
And this one, are you connected with banks? You mean this particular?
Well, for instance, I called the bank because there was questionable activity on my email, etc., or a phone call, and the whole thing just went down a hole. So are they supposed to be in touch with you when someone reports something, or do we have to report directly to you if, for instance, something's going on at the Bank of America in your account? Who do we call?
Well, your first step would be as a consumer to report it to your bank.
Yeah.
And then if you think that it's a theft of that magnitude, then your first step would be to call local law enforcement. When it gets up to a certain level, yes, we do deal with banks. Our agency does deal with banks in regards to many things. So we do investigate a lot of financial-based crime. So we do get involved with some of those investigations, but as a consumer, your first step is to report it to your bank and to report it to local law enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. All these websites and important information, did you give us a handout? Okay, so we have all that, and we'll also place that into the next newsletter or online. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
This is great. Thank you. Thank you to Congresswoman Frankel as well. Now we have, it's all about cyber. Everything's cyber today, right? The internet and all this. These are what drones are all about too. Everything is digital. So Joshua Gershon, we know him. A few months ago, he gave us an excellent presentation. And today, he's coming back for community associations and drones. And as you all know, he's our alliance attorney. He represents many of the communities also in our membership. And he has Gershon and Associates, and it's trained to focus on results and to deliver quick and efficient responses to your legal issues. And this is Joshua Gershon, and he's all set up, I'm sure, real quickly with his... There you go, see? So move forward. Thank you very much for coming.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Let me just get my presentation here. I promise you that I will not drone on. That's the best you're gonna get. That's the best you're gonna get. Maybe one more. Okay. Anyway, so the essential guide to drones in community associations. And when you are done listening to this presentation, you will understand that drones is not really something of the future. They are here now, and I'm going to hope to show you the framework of community associations and how actually you might be able to increase your property values by being welcoming to drones. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so what is a drone? So a drone is not that person that comes to your meetings constantly and just talks and talks and talks. That's the other joke, okay. A drone is a unmanned, remote-controlled, or autonomous. So it doesn't have to be actually with somebody flying it like a pilot. It could be a little like helicopter type thing that has coordinates punched into it, or it could also be something that's part of what's known as a hive. And it can be in the air, aerial, like Domino's, if you can't see. That's Domino's delivering a pizza. That's not a future concept, that's already happening. The next thing is UPS, and if you can see, that's what I mean by the hive technology. What they will do is they will park a truck. This is already going on in test areas. They'll park a truck in front of a building or in front of a community, and the truck itself will unleash probably 50 to 100 package delivering drones to that community at once. That's the hive. The next thing is on the ground, where the drones will have a package in them on the ground, and they will go to their route. That also is autonomous. They're just given an address to go to, a GPS coordinates. Federal drone laws. So to operate a drone as a commercial pilot, somebody that's going to be delivering for Domino's or FedEx, they actually have to get some sort of remote pilot certificate. It's pretty detailed, and they're hoping that the people who will be dropping packages or driving packages will know what they're doing. To be a hobbyist, you just have to register your drone. And to fly as a government employee, a drone in the state of Florida, you also need a certificate of authorization. As far as Florida's drone laws are concerned, as you know, Florida can't step on the toes of the federal government, and local governments are prohibited from making too many laws or laws that step on the state government. The state government, Florida state government has a law. They're trying to be drone friendly. They're going to open a welcome carpet, so they're not going to have a situation where UPS doesn't know how they can operate their drones in Delray and how they can operate them in Boca. So the state government, the Florida legislature, is going to be the only legislative body in charge of making drone-related laws. Now, the local governments can deal with things that also, like a nuisance, which is already on the books, harassment, reckless behavior. But as far as the manner and the specifications and requirements, that's going to be done just by Florida state government. Okay. Okay, so drone deliveries have already begun, and it's going to satiate the need for instant gratification, and it's cheaper. So you will get your products. Amazon is shooting for getting products to people in about a half hour. Okay, and it's already started. 30 minutes. They can carry up to 5 pounds at speeds up to 100 miles an hour. And guess how much it costs Amazon to do? $1. So if it can cost $1, they can cut out so much of their shipping, and guess what? It's coming, it's already here. UPS can carry up to 40 pounds at 4 miles an hour, $2.80 a delivery. Domino's projects that it's going to save its franchisees $50 million a year in transportation costs. So there's just no fighting it, it's already here, and it could be something good. Now, as far as your community association is concerned, your community association cannot pass rules, laws, document amendments that step on the Florida or the federal laws, okay? So, you don't need to have a registration, right? Because you already have a federal registration for hobbyist drones. You can't require UPS to register. They're already going to be registered. The pilots are going to be registered. So what you should do as an association is, if you're going to make yourself drone friendly, pass a simple rule that says people who want to fly drones have to follow federal and state laws. And a breach of a federal or state law or guideline would be a breach of the governing document provision. And as simple as that, you have a whole bailiwick of laws and regulations that you can make sure your members with drones are following. Now, as far as the association-owned drones, I have one condominium association on the beach in Fort Lauderdale that is using drones very effectively to monitor the progress of a massive construction project that they're going on, from damage caused by Hurricane Irma, and to daily check their roof, okay? Those are property maintenance things. I think we're going to be seeing drones in the property management context with condominiums, as well as areas like very large associations where it might take, let's say like Heron Bay. It takes a half hour just to drive through Heron Bay, and the drone can do property inspections much easier. Now, that's good for effective management, but do not use a drone to gather evidence of somebody breaking the governing documents. Okay? Do not do that to say who's at the pool, who shouldn't be at the pool. You know, who has this and who has that. Who has an illegal alteration, who doesn't have an illegal alteration. Why? Because that's against the law. Okay? You cannot use a drone to peer into somebody's yard or peer into somebody's balcony where they expect that area to otherwise be private. And there's big problems if you do that. You can get sued, invasion of privacy, even maybe a trespass. That is against the law. All right? So do not use it like that. Use it more as a property management tool. As far as condominiums are concerned, so what's going to happen is you're going to have companies like UPS, Federal Express, and they're going to offer these great drone delivery services. But if your condominium is not set up for it, you're not going to get them. And you're going to have much more expensive deliveries. And what's going to happen over time is condominiums that are set up to handle drone deliveries are going to be more attractive than condominium units that aren't. It's just really as simple as that. And everybody likes to save money on shipping. So, what would you do with a drone coming to a condominium association? Very simple. If you have a common area for packages or common area outside, common area like mailboxes are all in a cluster, you could make that your drone delivery area. You could pass some rules regarding that, some safeguards regarding that, as well as a key or other access for people to pick up their packages. Okay? Now, if you do not have anything like that outside, what you want to do is you want to locate an area that you would fence off. You would have to pass by your members would have to agree to it. And that would be the area for drone deliveries. UPS, FedEx, Amazon, they would all be alerted to that area. They would be easily able to drop off your drones, not hurt anyone, your packages wouldn't get stolen. Now, as far as HOAs are concerned, where would an HOA have it? HOAs would be a little bit easier, and it would be probably designated on an owner's driveway, where you would allow, through your governing documents, to designate a drop-off area for drones. I keep losing it. A drop-off area for drones on your HOA driveway. And that would be something that would be very advantageous to you. No? Hello? Okay. That would be very advantageous to your association because people looking to buy in want to have the modern conveniences. So again, condominiums and HOAs should set up drone delivery areas. You should also, in your governing documents, restrict drone deliveries to the same times as landscaping deliveries. I mean, landscaping. So if you don't want a drone buzzing around 24/7, you would make it, Saturdays, no drone deliveries before 8 a.m., Mondays, no drone deliveries before 7 a.m., and no drone deliveries at night. You also want to have routes. If you have a bike path in your association, you can't have that as your drone delivery route. What will you do if UPS decides not to use aerial, but they're going to have the ground ones? They'll set them up as a hive. You want to see if you can map out drone delivery routes where the autonomous vehicle could drive around your association dropping off packages. It sounds like Jetson stuff, I know, but it's already here. It's already here. Now, the most important thing I think you should do is, before you become drone friendly, put in your governing documents a limitation of liability. Any hobbyist that operates a drone in your association by doing so agrees that he will indemnify and hold the association harmless if somebody gets an eye knocked out or something like that, God forbid. And you put that in there, check it with your insurance carrier, insurance broker, and you'll be well on your way as being recognized as a 21st century community. It's very cheap, very easy to sort of market your drone friendly. And if I was a home buyer and had a choice between 1 or 2 homes, I'm going to pick one that's set for the future. Ba-deep, ba-deep, ba-deep. So if anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If you don't have the package, I will have some on my website, gersten.com. But thank you everyone for your attention. I appreciate it.
We certainly do have some questions. How do you know if a drone you see flying is properly registered?
How would you, well, there would be 2 ways. If the drone is a commercial drone, it should have readily identifiable tags on it. If it's a hobbyist drone, you really would have no idea. Okay, that's a good question.
We are located next to an airport. Do safety concerns prohibit drones from flying over our community?
Yes. Who is that? Who is that?
It's a Villa Borghese.
Oh, yes. Safety concerns would prohibit it, so what you would have is probably the drones on the ground. Also, with a community as big as Villa Borghese, that would be something where you would have sort of one big truck pull up, all the drones would come out of the roof right on your association property, so they wouldn't have any problems with planes. So the autonomous ones that get sent actually from Boca, let's say, and they fly over, those won't work. But the more likely way it's going to be is one truck drops off 100 drones. They all spread out in your community. You won't have any problems with the planes.
As a homeowner, how high are my air rights?
As a homeowner, how high are my air rights? Well, your air rights, though, succumb to the right for somebody to fly a drone commercially, okay? Not, though, as a hobbyist. You have air ownership rights. There's no set amount, but what it is that it can't block anything that is directly above your home that is what is known as a buildable area. So if your home is, let's say, 1 story and you have permissibility by zoning to go as high as 3 stories, then you've got 20 feet there. 1 story is 10 feet. You've got 20 feet there of air rights. You do have some air rights, but the only type of people that you can block from flying a drone over your home are people that are peeping toms, peeping into your background. Otherwise, you can't block them. And do not shoot at drones and do not throw things at them. They are surprisingly very expensive and very heavy and dangerous when they fall.
Yes, that was the 2-part question. If a drone hovers too long over my property, can I shoot it down?
Oh my God! See that? I can guess the question. That's interesting. The answer is no. That happens more than you would think. Number 1 is you're shooting off a gun in a public area. That's gonna land you in jail. Okay. Number 1. Number 2 is you miss. Where's that bullet gonna land? Number 3. I know you never miss. But you are not allowed to shoot down drones. It's against state law. I mean, the only time you can is if you are truly in fear of your life or safety, if the drone is like going to like dive bomb and hit you or something. But otherwise, no target practice.
Yeah, and we do know there are differences between shotguns and 22s that can ricochet and go over water, and that's scary, right? How loud are the drones? How many decibels about?
I don't know how many decibels, but they are loud. The drones are surprisingly loud. I assume that technology will get better as time goes on, but you can definitely hear them. I would think that, and that's why I put in that suggestion about drone delivery times being the same as landscaping times. I would say that it's not as loud as a leaf blower that wakes you up on Saturday mornings. It's probably about the professional licensed landscaper mower. That one, not the guy that doesn't have a license that shows up for one of your neighbors. That's really loud, but it's like it's about a lawnmower, which is pretty loud.
Okay, and this is also, Phyllis, you have lovely handwriting, but I sort of don't understand. It says somebody or a child grabbing for drones, or will they drop responsibility? Phyllis, can you just clarify that? Yeah.
We have a lot of children and a lot of dogs in our community. If we have a homeowners association, you're saying the driveway, if a drone is dropping something and children or dogs go after it.
Right. Well, it would be a part of the driveway that would actually be, segmented off. It would just be, let's say, the size of this, right? And it would have just a small little gate, so nobody would be able to stand in there. And
Have a fence like a swimming pool?
no, it would be very small, just so that people accidentally don't walk into the center of it. And then,
I see my granddaughter climbing that fence.
and that's a different story there. That's, I know that that'd be another warning, I guess they would grow up with. Stay away from the pool and stay away from that rectangle on the driveway.
Well,
Unless you're not expecting any packages. Maybe you don't get any packages when they're here.
I think that the packages, isn't it so sophisticated that now that they'll bring the drones in, they'll also be telling you on your iPhone, your smartphone, your computer that when the package exactly is going to arrive, probably. So.
Absolutely. And as this goes on, we will start hearing more and more. Washington State, California, Arizona, and New Mexico, this is already going on.
Joshua, I have a question.
Sure.
My son flies a drone in New York professionally with videos and all that. And the FAA has rules of how high the drones have to be.
Right. Yes. The FAA has rules on how high, because the drones can, I guess, feasibly crash into airplanes if they're allowed to go certain heights. So the commercial drones have limits. The hobbyist drones, I don't think can go that high, but absolutely they do. It's almost like a mini airplane license.
Yeah, drones can average the size from a small dinner plate to as big as a small aircraft.
That's correct.
Our sheriff was telling us about that because the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office just accumulated a whole bunch of drones now. They were a special program.
Accumulated.
Because, well, they got the money for it. It didn't actually cost the taxpayers any money, which was good. So he purchased it, but it's through some program, which is very good. And we actually use them in Monroe County. We let them have our drones after Hurricane Irma.
Yeah, something like that, exactly.
Yeah, so it's used for good uses as well, and our sheriff, those were terrific questions.
And we also know, just one more thing, we also know drones from the military. That's really where it all started, is that, that's what we do to keep the peace. We send over, huge bombs. We save a lot of lives, and our airmen are sitting somewhere in North Carolina, while they're doing it. So, anyway, thank you, everyone. Any further questions, email me, call me, whatever you'd like. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you.
A most fantastic program today, all about cybersecurity, and this is another part of the cybersecurity. One thing, President Bob wanted me to just remind you that with that special invitation that you're all getting in the mail, probably all of us that are here, I'm sure, it's going to include a special gate pass to where the breakfast will be. So make sure you put the gate pass in your car. It will allow you entrance very easily then, and you won't have to pull out all the sorts of identification and stuff. Okay? So you'll get the gate pass in the invitation and bring it with you. We'll see you all June 1st. All our delegates, alternates,